Dragon's Dogma 2 was one of the most hyped games of 2024, and just like every other game that ever comes out, I just had to buy it. Our story starts off with us in a jail cell where we get to create our own character, so after spending way too long making my character look as much like me as possible, we choose between the 4 starting classes: Fighter, Archer, Mage, or Thief. I went with the Fighter because I'm a noob and need all the help I can get. After all this, we leave our cell and get put to work on some slave duties. You know, moving some rocks around.
I've got to bring it over here. Sorry, drop that here.
When all of a sudden we are ambushed by a very angry Medusa.
Oh. Okay.
So we pick up a random sword and shield we find on the ground and we start fighting. After a lengthy battle, the Medusa decides it has had enough and retreats. When all of a sudden we start getting some mad headaches and a mysterious ghost man appears behind us and tells us about our destiny as an arisen. After this, instead of moving some more rocks around, we decide to make a break for it. As we are running, the ghost man reappears and tells us that the only way to escape is to yeet ourselves off the cliff. So without hesitation, we jump.
The creepy one. Jump, okay.
But before we can fall to our death, we are rescued by a very conveniently placed griffin that manages to fly us to safety. After getting our first trophy for escaping the bonds of slavery, our griffin is shot down full Smaug style with a giant arrow.
What? Why? Why would you do that?
After our crash landing, we wake up to a dead griffin and our friend in the water getting eaten by a bunch of red sea tentacles.
I think he's dead.
Keep your distance, Arisen, but I will not perish.
You sure?
Not far from here, known as a
I
rift.
feel like you'll perish.
Pray, seek it out. If you're truly the Arisen, then our paths will surely.
Rest in peace, buddy. Some guy called Justin then rocks up. He leads us past some goblins to a place called the Border Watch Outpost, where a bunch of pawns are awaiting our arrival and start bending the knee. We prove ourselves to be this arisen person by summoning a pawn from a rift stone. We then get to create our main pawn, and I made a beastren thief called Balrog. He was set to join us on our journey. We're then sent out to a nearby village called Melv that was recently attacked by a dragon, and after dealing with some incredibly frustrating harpies, we finally arrive. But upon entering, we start suffering from more severe headaches, hear some strange voices, and then pass out. While unconscious, we get our second trophy for regaining our lost memories of fighting a dragon and getting chosen as the Arisen. The memories show the dragon ripping our heart out, eating it, and then flying away, officially linking our destinies together.
My heart. Eat it? Bit harsh.
We then wake up to the news that the arrival of a second Arisen has reached the capital. So we set off with a guy called Gregor, and on our way we come across a Cyclops which, when we defeat, seems to gain us Gregor's trust. We finally make it to the capital, Vernworth, where we are greeted by a soldier called Brant. At first, Brant seems to deny we could be an Arisen since there can only be one at any given time, but once behind closed doors, Brant reveals he believes us to be the true Arisen and had to keep our existence a secret for our own safety. He further explains that we are the true Arisen and legitimate ruler of the kingdom, and the current Arisen is an imposter planted by the Queen. Apparently, after being chosen by the dragon, the Queen stole our memory with a curse and sold us to slavery. What a dog. After this conversation, we get our next trophy for arriving in Vernworth.
Trophy.
Teaming up with Captain Brant, we start plotting ways to expose the Queen and the fake Arisen by completing a few quests.
How we doing?
While searching the castle for clues, we are caught red-handed by the Queen's son, Sven, who surprisingly seems all too happy to help us and lets us escape with some evidence. After a couple more random side quests, we get a trophy for boarding an ox cart and we make our way back to Melv, which, as luck would have it, is under attack by another dragon. So we jump into action and start fighting. After repelling the dragon, we speak to a guy called Sigurd, and we unlock the Mystic Spear Hand vocation, which we quickly make our new vocation and unlock 2 trophies in the process. One for changing our vocation, and another for changing it to Mystic Spearhand. We return to Vernworth, where we steal some fancy clothes and get the next trophy for sneaking into a masquerade ball, where we run into a girl called Wilhelmina, who runs the Rose Chateau, and she helps us escape the guards and spy on the false arisen, talking to the Queen and some guy called Lord Facius. Anyway, we escape and bring the newly gained information back to Captain Brant. Brant then sends us out to find a hidden village where a thieves guild is located, and after a relatively easy obstacle course, we find the leader of the Thieves Guild, who tells us that the false arisen is a former member of the Thieves Guild who injured his chest during a trial and then used the injury to pose as the fake arisen. After a few more side quests, we get our next 3 trophies. One for buying a house,
Probably worth like $1,000, but no. Hey, a house in this economy.
one for making a campfire,
Make camp.
and another for teleporting using a ferry stone.
That was painful.
Brant then sends us out to Batal to continue our investigation and gives us a permit we can use to cross the Batal border. After making our way to the border, we try to cross the border. However, the permit we were given was actually a Beastrin permit, and the guard won't let us pass.
Yours? Do you take me for a fool? Present your own permit, or I'll have you thrown in jail.
Luckily, there's a funny little dude here who just happens to sell Beastrin masks. Handy. So we chuck on the mask, and we are able to cross the border and get another trophy. Unfortunately, the ox cart services on this side of the border aren't working, so we have to continue on foot, where we run into Ghostman again, who is happy to see we are fulfilling our destiny and tells us to visit a specific place in Batal. A bunch of enemies later, we finally arrive at Back Batal, where the Ghostman reappears and tells us to look for someone called Ambrosius, who should be on the coast somewhere, and he should be able to answer many of our questions. We head to the coast and find Ambrosius. He tells us about these blue crystal shards that can be refined into something called a God's Way, that gives anyone the power of the Arisen. He then tells us to find 2 different people, one called the Dragonforged and another called the Oracle. The Dragonforged guy is hiding in a nearby cave and tells us about Lord Phasius seeking knowledge of how to alter the world. We then find the Oracle, who teaches us the Trickster vocation and tells us of the former Dragonforged who resides in a place called Harv Village, and we must seek them out.
Ah, good. You're awake. Look, I've told you.
Arriving at Harv Village, this rough-looking old dude tells us a story of a sunken castle, which then, on cue, randomly sprouts out of the water. So naturally, we have to go in. At the bottom of the now not-so-sunken castle, we find the spirit of the former Dragonforged just chilling against a rock. And he introduces himself as Rothius? Anyway. But he tells us he's the founder of the Kingdom of Vermund. He passes down an item called the God's Bane, but it's a bit mangled and needs some repairing. After this encounter, we get a quick little cutscene of a creepy statue awakening. We leave Har Village and return to Ambrosius, who is happy to repair the blade for us, but he needs some worm life crystals to do so, and we can only get them by slaying dragons. So on our way to find a dragon to kill, we are ambushed by a griffin, where we manage to get the re-griffining trophy for climbing on top of a griffin as it flies away. Now, it was actually at this point in the game where I was having too much fun getting some of the trophies that I decided to go for the Platinum Trophy, which actually came at a good time because 1 or 2 more quests later, I would have been locked into the end game and missed a whole bunch of them. So the next phase of this playthrough was a massive cleanup of all the trophies I needed to get before we could continue with the main story. Some of these trophies included sneaking across the Batal border illegally, finding a Medusa and decapitating it using electrified daggers. Collecting the Medusa's preserved head, and coming back 14 days later to use the Medusa's own head to turn it into stone. We boarded the mysterious nighttime phantom ox cart, which would only let us on board if we had no clothes on. I'm scared. We used a wakestone to revive a dead person from the morgue, which actually got us 2 trophies. We taught our pawn a special skill. And we had to cook every type of meat twice, once during the day and once during the night. Jeez, that looks good. Yes. Next up, we had to find the hidden Sphinx, who has a bunch of riddles for us to complete, including things like bringing our most loved thing in the world to the Sphinx, which is apparently Balrog.
Well. Very good.
It's very creepy right now. This one. We had to return to where we got our very first Seeker's token, which now had a Finder's token.
Let's go.
We then had to go and find this weird looking dude who was hiding out at the checkpoint rest town and throwing this other random guy off a cliff. We get the trophy for completing all of the riddles, but now we kill the Sphinx using an unmaking arrow, which is an instant one-hit kill, to get the Sphinx to drop her special key to open a special loot chest and get the Eternal Wakestone, which we can then use to get the trophy for performing a miracle and reviving multiple people at once. The remaining trophies that needed to be cleaned up before continuing were raising 50 different people's affinity by giving them lots of gifts, earning a pawn badge for killing 30 Cyclops, reaching a place called Drabnir's Grotto, soaking in a hot spring at the volcanic island, finding at least 80 of the possible 240 hidden Seekers tokens, and exploring 50 different named locations. After spending many hours doing this, we are finally able to move on with the main story by hunting down a dragon to get our worm life crystals. We get a trophy for reaching the location of the dragon, and Sigurd is waiting out front and wants to help us fight.
Allow me to join you in this trial.
After a long and very intense battle, we are finally able to kill the dragon. Sadly though, Sigurd died in battle, and I kind of needed him alive so I could get my mace's teaching and unlock the special Mystic Spear Hand skill. So we had to use the Eternal Wakestone we just got to revive him.
Hopefully not the fucking dragon. Imagine I brought the dragon back to life. Oh, yes. Huzzah.
The creature is slain.
After using the crystals to empower the God's Bane, we make our way towards the volcanic island where that creepy statue from before has come out of the water and is making its way towards the island. We defeat the statue and gain the Giganticus I Hardly Knew Ye trophy.
I shan't deny, they have their uses.
Continuing onwards after slaying a bunch of volcanic lizard things, we follow Lord Phasius and the False Arisen into the location where we first started the game. We ride a glowy elevator to the top of the tower where Phasius is performing a ritual to summon a dragon.
Heed my call. Your will is mine to command. Curses. This arrival of the true risen is most inopportune. Sovereign of Vermin, the ritual must not be disturbed. Let not the arisen approach. You can manage that, I trust. The ritual is complete. The dragon comes.
We slay some of the guards and try to stop the ritual, but we are too late. The ritual is complete and a dragon appears. when, surprise, surprise, an even bigger dragon falls from the sky and body slams the smaller dragon. And if that wasn't enough, to assert more dominance, it starts to burn the living crap out of it. Theseus then, for some reason, decides to pass out. And we are left face to face with the big dragon. This dragon then shows us some random girl we've never seen before and says we either fight the dragon or he will take this girl's life.
In my claws, and be gone from this place, or stand and fight.
Now, I have no idea who this girl is, but as a man of honor, I decide to fight.
True battlefield.
We mount the dragon and it takes us to the arena where we must have our final battle. After what turned out to be a relatively easy fight, we finally defeat the dragon. Thanos then snaps his fingers and the dragon turns to dust. Everyone across the kingdom celebrates our victory over the dragon. We are then declared sovereign and rightful ruler of the land as we take our seat upon the throne, unlocking the trophy for slaying the dragon and bringing peace to the land. But the story is not over, as we now need to do the alternate ending, otherwise known as the true ending. So we load our save to before we slay the dragon, but this time, after we kill the dragon, instead of going and sitting on the throne, we have to come across and talk to the ghost guy, who tells us that we can achieve greater status and greater power. Ghost guy tells us not to resist fate, and he transports us back to when we're flying on the dragon before we reach the battlefield. However, this time, before we can reach the battlefield, we have to climb down the dragon to his heart, and we use the empowered God's Bane on ourselves, sacrificing ourselves, which also takes out the dragon, and we both plummet into the water below. As the red ocean tentacle monsters start to surround us, we wake up to the Ghost Man again, who informs us we have left the world we belong and strayed from our rightful path. We awaken once again, this time in the Unmoored World, and get the trophy for starting the true ending. Ghostman tells us the world has gone to crap, everything will be destroyed, and the world will cease to exist, so have fun. So with that news, we must find a way to save the world and save everyone. We run into Theseus again, who has saved Balrog for us, on the condition we save the world.
How long I've slept? Far too long, it seems.
No pressure. We must complete all the trials of the Unmoored World and defeat all the giant beasts that are running rampant. We make our way back down to Giganticus, who absorbs Balrog and reawakens, which gets us a trophy.
Statue has stirred from its slumber. Where will it go now?
Giganticus Balrog then manages to take out two of these giant unmoored beasts before succumbing to his injuries and dying. Luckily, Balrog manages to survive. We then have a couple of long, hard-fought battles against the two remaining unmoored beasts. We also have to destroy this little psychic dragon statue, and we unlock the hero trophy. cleaning up the Unmoored World trophies, we have to find and kill a headless horseman. We use 110 worm life crystals to buy the dragon's Dogma sword. And then finally, we need to evacuate everyone from all the different capitals to the sacred grounds where they may be safe from the end of the world, but probably not. And in doing so, we get the Guardian trophy. Once everyone has been evacuated, the only thing left to do is complete the ending for the Unmoored World. We use the Empowered Godsbane to initiate the ending, and another dragon spawns from the red clouds and the credits start to roll. Out of nowhere, Balrog transforms into some weird shadow dragon and delivers us to the bigger dragon. Scaling the big dragon, the Ghost Man tells us about how the dragons created the cycle and that the Arisen are fighting to oppose the cycle. With the help of Shadow Dragon Balrog, we are able to defeat this new dragon, officially ending the cycle and getting the final story-related trophy.
Britain, my heart, it aches.
We then watch as the old guy from earlier sails off peacefully into the sun. So after all of that, sadly, there was actually one trophy I missed. It was the trophy for getting every single Vocation Maester's teaching, since I accidentally sold a couple of them at the start of the game before I was trying to platinum. So I had to restart the game and grind another 10 to 15 hours playing through the game again to finally unlock that final trophy and get my very first platinum.
I did it. I'm gonna lie down for a second.
If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like and let me know what games you want me to platinum next in the comments below. Cheers.